A good friend of mine and a very prominent designer, uh, scientist in aviation asked, when would the helicopter go faster than the airplane? Do you know that? I said, yes, I know. The answer is never. When would the helicopter be more efficient than the airplane? Do you know that? I also said, yes, I know that. Never. But I said that helicopter will do a number of jobs which no airplane will do, and which in fact nothing else will do except the helicopter. One of the major things which I was aiming at was that I had every conviction the helicopter will prove a unique and extremely effective method or instrumentality for saving lives.
My father's first attempts at building the helicopter were, of course, in 1909, 1910. At that time, the helicopter was considered also to be A, impossible of achievement, and B, even if you could build it, nobody would know what to do with it. In fact, I remember my father's words when he said, when we started the VS-300 project, we knew one thing, that our first guess would not be our last guess. Consequently, we built the aircraft very simply as a sort of contraption. So you could take your fundamental tools needed to modify that aircraft were one blowtorch and one hacksaw. And you could cut all the tubing and rearrange it and splice it and create a new configuration almost overnight. This was the way that that aircraft started, as a contraption. And it was built, tested, and started making very brief hops in September of 1939. The development of the helicopter had to proceed slowly because the pilot was teaching himself to fly at the same time that he was feeling out the controls. And he was trying to figure out, was he creating the wobble, or was the helicopter creating the wobble? One of the most phenomenal demonstrations of an engineer and a test pilot at work together. Fortunately, in this particular case, the engineer and the test pilot were one and the same person, so that there was a very, very great deal of unanimity in the drive. In December of 1941, shortly before Pearl Harbor, is the breakthrough when everything, all the pieces fell together, and suddenly the helicopter was there as a full flying vehicle, perfectly controllable, with one main lifting rotor, one tail rotor. The configuration of this one main rotor and tail rotor was greeted with great skepticism when Igor Sikorsky perfected it. Today, that very same configuration that my father created in the VS-300 is used by roughly 96% of all of the helicopters in the history of aviation that have been built. One of the legacies that Igor Sikorsky left the company with, and particularly left the engineering department with, was the fact that constantly you build on your previous engineering skill. One never rests on one's laurels. One tries always to make the next machine just a little bit better, just a little bit more, how should we put it, suited to the requirements of the customer. My father was a hero for the pioneering work that he did in aircraft, and also the pioneering test piloting work that he did on the helicopter to bring it to perfection. I think that basically all of these elements come together, and they have, in these elements, you see mankind at its best, creating newer and better machines, many of them dedicated to the saving of human lives.